I remember when I was in college, a buddy of mine, he showed me this site called a Code Academy, and he, it had some cool stuff. It was, he's writing programs and stuff like that. So I was like, oh, okay, cool, bet. That was really cool, and I kind of like just stopped doing it though. I just, I loved it though. I was doing it in Ruby and Python, JavaScript. I was doing all the little problems they had. I was like, "Oh, yo, this is amazing." It was like playing a video game. Cause like, to tell you guys if you didn't know, I actually was like I played like professional video games when I was in high school. Yeah, so like I don't know if you ever heard of MLG, but yeah, like we play online in group competitions, and then we went to MLG Dallas, and it's cool. It was really cool. So that was one thing about code that I really like. It really reminded me of like video games, cause and that's kind of what I feel like it is now, cause we're just solving problems and things like that. So I ended up joining the military. But during the military, I actually had another flash of wanting to code. I was reading books about like software engineers who had like created web applications. I think that movie Social Network about Facebook came out. So I had really wanted to get back into programming to become like build apps and become a millionaire, billionaire, whatever, right? And so I had made this one site while I was in the military. It was called Rate My Base. 'Cause it was kind of like when I was in college, they had this thing called Rate My Professor, and you could like talk about your professor, whether he was hard, whether he was cool, stuff like that. So I did this. I applied that same method to this, and actually, funny enough, people actually were using it. Like that was actually kind of crazy. I was just marketing on Facebook. I was putting stuff on Facebook. Hey, you gotta, if you want to rate your command, rate your base, wherever you're at, here you go. And then, some things happened where like people were telling me, like the legal officer was like, "Oh, well, you'll be responsible if anybody says anything disparaging about, the commanding officer." I'm like, "Oh man, just killing my vibe." So I just kind of shut it down. So anyway, at this point I was getting out the military. I decided I want to get out the military, and I kind of wanted to do something related to being a software, something, right? But I don't know. I kind of put that to the side, and I wanted to be like, I want to do real estate. So I got out the military, and I was doing real estate, like all types of stuff. Real estate. I was doing club promoting. I was driving Uber. It was a lot of stuff, man. I was everywhere. I was on to school, and it was just like so much. So none of that stuff worked out. I stopped doing real estate. Went back home. My grandmother passed away, and I was kind of really I was really down about that. So I had moved back home, my folks, and I didn't really have a plan. I didn't really have nothing really to do. So I guess I had talked to somebody, and they were saying, it should be like an electrician. So I was like, "Oh yeah, cool. That sounds pretty cool." I was, trades and stuff like that. I'm not, against that. So I was like, "Yeah, cool. I'll be an electrician. That's what's up." And so I went to San Diego because I had a buddy who was doing trade school, and he told me, come to San Diego, whatever, and use your GI Bill. Then I couldn't get into that trade school, right? And so I ended up trying to go to the union, and the union they said they needed 6 months. I need to wait like 9 months or something to get in. I was like, no, man, I can't. I don't have 9 months. I got to get in now. You know what I mean? Get the money going. So because San Diego's expensive and stuff. So anyway, I ended up figuring out a whole bunch of stuff. So I went to school. I was gonna do A+ networks. I found out about like IT, CCNA. So I was gonna actually go that route, right? Just get the certifications and try to get work at help desk and stuff like that. Like the connecting printers or whatever that stuff they talk about. So I was like, I was just gonna do that. And then in that school, we had a database programming class, and I started like doing more research on being like a programmer. And I was like, oh wow, dude, they work remote. They make all this money. I'm like, yo, hold on. And then I found out, and then I started to realize like the reason why I was doing all that stuff, when I got out the military, trying to be an entrepreneur, real estate, all that stuff, because I wanted to feel autonomous. I wanted to work from home, and I wanted to be paid well. And I'm like, whoa, hold on. So if I just become that, then I can do that. I don't even need to like have a quote unquote like, you know, real estate for all that business. And I'm like, anyway, so yeah, I just started with just found out. And then, I was starting to get, negative naysayers saying, oh, that's I can't do that. That's too for smart people, like, people just talking about like how they couldn't do it out, couldn't do becoming a program. I'm like, no, yes, you can. So you just got to just keep putting the time into it. So one of my biggest, so what ended up happening after that in my apartment complex, there was a guy from New York. I was reading a book about JavaScript, and he said he had read that whole book. And I was like, what? No way. Because I thought he was kind of capping at first, but come to find out, he was really telling the truth. But that he was really like a really good programmer. Because around that time, I also run into people who were like, say they were doing programming or software development, and they weren't really doing it. So I was always trying to like, I was like, all right, I don't know about that. And then people, it's always different. People claim this thing. So yeah, so he ended up being a really good programmer. So he was helping me out tremendously. We were working on code wars, just writing code, reading code. We had like whiteboards. Man, we was like playing rap music. He was from New York. He was showing me a lot of New York rappers, and he was kind of explaining the map of New York and things like that. So I was like, wow, I felt like I was from New York. All the stuff he was telling, all the stuff he was telling me. I was like, wow. I was telling him about, Mississippi, stuff like that. So it was cool. And so that's the main thing about it, man. We like when you need to be writing, programming, and working with other people at the same time. That's the key. I'm telling you, that's the key. That is the key, guys. Like, and that's what we do here at Alpha Programming Academy. Like I said, if you're interested in being a programmer, go into the link in the description box below and apply. Apply, apply, apply. Because I want to hear you. I want to speak to you and make sure you're a good fit. Make sure we're a good fit for you. We want to make sure we getting the right people in, the right mindset, the right mindset, excuse me, and the right mentality. So that's all we need. And we're gonna create we're gonna create an army, the Alpha Programmer Army, man. A family, really. But a strong, effective army nonetheless. So that's yeah, man. That's how my story went, man. Like I said, I started to learn how to program, started making coding projects, started getting interviews, started getting offers. Bada bing, bada boom. And like I said too, and I have a lot of goals for this year. And like I said, I want to make this YouTube channel. Want to help people, give some advice, give some good lessons here and there. Hopefully impact a lot of people. And yeah, like I said, definitely want to make some apps. Want to build some apps out. That'll be a part of the program as well. Let me stop.